Welcome everyone. So in this video, we're going to be talking about very simply, like, what is high ticket sales? I've been getting flooded with comments on TikTok, intrigued with the space, but very new, very green to it. So this is more for that person that is intrigued with what is high ticket sales? Why is it different than normal sales? Why is it different than car sales? Why is it different than calling about your car's extended warranty? Like, what are the real differences? What is it? Right? Ultimately, like, all it is you're selling expensive shit. You're just selling expensive stuff for companies and a specific type of company, which I'll dive into later. I think it's important to explain what the need for it is in the first place and what is low ticket. So low ticket is selling your everyday stuff, right? Like selling for Walmart, selling on Amazon, selling, clothes, selling a pair of jeans. Like, that's low ticket. It doesn't really require a salesperson or it could be a customer service rep. So like, it really, if you're buying specifically online, nothing below a couple $100 really requires a salesperson. But once you hit like above 1K, above like 2K, I know some people that are spend over $1,000 online, there hits a certain number right around there to where it's like, I don't feel comfortable buying just a price that's, on a website. I need to speak with someone because I may have some questions before I pull the trigger on that. And it just hit a certain price point where it just makes sense to have a person there. And that person is a high ticket closer. That is essentially high ticket sales, is selling for like online businesses. Typically, I would consider high ticket like $5,000 or more. And that's kind of what high ticket sales is. And I think the important question now is, who are these online service businesses that are charging over $5,000? How do I find them? What do they do exactly? What exactly am I selling, right? That's a fair question. So I feel like a majority of these companies kind of fall in this category, which is some form of marketing, consulting service, or just like a business service. So marketing. So like, for example, like e-commerce, like marketing. So like, if you run Facebook ads for like this chain or something like that, like there's tons of like jewelry type stores. Like, I work with one business that does the Facebook ads and Google ads for jewelry brands specifically. So they have like a, $6,000 a month service. So if you're the closer for them, you would make basically about $1,000 for every deal that you close for that specific company. So you would be talking with people that own these jewelry stores, that own different e-commerce brands, and you'd be selling to them. So that's like a marketing type service. Another would be the businesses that write the emails for these different brands. Another one would be like SEO, as in search engine optimization. So like, if you Google something, like you'll see the word ad pop up. Like if you Google sales training, like there will be ad spots at the top. The first couple ones that rank at the top, that'll say ad next to them. That's an SEO, search engine optimization service. People will sell that. People will sell YouTube ads. People will sell, so you see what I mean? Just a marketing service in general, whether that's running an ad, whether that's doing emails, whether that's making like a funnel or making like a website, that all kind of falls under the realm of like a marketing service. And there's tons of these businesses that do these services, and they're all like online service-based businesses that charge usually well over $5,000. So consulting is the second one, right? So a lot of your coaching, your courses, masterminds, things of this sort, like consulting in the sense of, we're going to consult you on how to build a sales team. We're going to consult you on tax strategy and taxes and stuff like that. Consulting as far as like financial consulting on how to trade stocks, or you see what I mean? Like something along these lines. There's a lot of consulting type services. And then lastly, like business services. And this is a broad kind of category. I was struggling to kind of find the category to put these in. But like, think of, like, I have one friend, for example, he does drone photography for like solar businesses. So like, he'll charge a lot of money to these companies, and he will literally do photography and 3D rendering for solar companies and like their solar panels and stuff like that, or like construction sites, and he'll do like the cool drone photography videos and stuff. That's one of the services. Some people make websites. Some people will sell like solar panels and install solar panels. That would be one. So these are kind of like the different type of companies, the different type of offers that you would be selling and that would hire high ticket salespeople. But I do want to make the difference between like what is high ticket sales and then what is just sales and what's different between the two, because high ticket sales is kind of like a niche within the whole sales like industry, and I'll show you kind of the main differences. So there's typically this world of like more corporate sales and then this world of like high ticket sales, and the main differences are just this. So in corporate sales, you have a floor. Like typically there's like a base salary. I've talked with a lot of these corporate sales guys. It's like I have a base of $50,000 a year, and then I have small commissions that are capped. So it's like you have a floor. So if you don't perform, you still make small money. But if you're really good and you're crushing it, you're killing it, you can only make so much. So you have a floor and you have a ceiling, which to some people is extremely comforting. And it's more steady, it's more smooth, you know what I mean? There's a lot more guaranteed, very steady type income. However, in high ticket sales, no floor, however, also no ceiling. So the good thing about this, and I'll talk about why there's a specific type of person that will do well in high ticket sales, is like there is no floor. In 99% of these companies that hire high ticket sales guys, there's no floor. It's like no base pay, no salary, it's all commission. And that scares a lot of people away. But there's also no ceiling. So I don't know about you, but I'm the type of guy to where if I'm crushing it and I'm doing very well, I don't want limited. I want zero limits on how much money I'm able to make. And when you're in more of a high ticket sales type role, you don't have that ceiling. And that's what really drew me specifically to the space, and why some people are so intrigued with the space, and why these high ticket sales guys make a shit ton more than some of these more corporate like car sales, insurance sales type people. Not always, but typically. Another big one would be like company culture. So I, again, talk with a lot of these people, and they tell me, whether they work from home or not, most people are in office now. The C19 stuff is kind of going. At 8 a.m., it's like clocked in. It's like 5 p.m., clock out. I have an hour lunch, and usually in that hour lunch, I'm like having a lunch with a potential prospect or something. So like, it's like you are working and you are doing what I tell you to do. Some of these guys like aren't allowed to have their phone or their like anything, like even in their little cubicle. Like they have to sit in a cubicle sometimes. They're not like, there's just like limitations on you as if you're like in school, and it's like you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this. It's very like you have a boss that is very demanding of your time and is like looking over your shoulder at all times to make sure you're doing your shit, which kind of just draws me away. As in time restraints. So I have to work X amount of hours and be here in this office doing these things for a certain amount of time. I'm allowed to have an hour of lunch. And yeah, that. And then it's just very like, it's a lot more corporate-y, as in just culture-wise, like say the correct things, do the right things, dress a certain way. Like that stuff just never personally appealed to me. Whereas company culture in like a high ticket sales type jobs, like most of these companies are literally made up of 5 to 6 people, maybe 10 people in their 20s and their 30s. Pretty lax environment. It's like a couple guys doing, a couple $1 million a year, $10 million a year, a couple $1 million a year, whatever. And they're doing good numbers. They don't want to micromanage you. They just want you to take your calls, have cash coming in, closing clients. Aside from that, they don't give a fuck. Like, sure, like if you're on Zoom or some video type thing like this, a shirt like this gets the job done. Like, don't have an absurd like t-shirt you're wearing, but like wear something half decent. You could have freaking pajamas on under this, it does not matter. And just do your calls. That's it. It's not like do emails from this time, be here at this time, you have to clock in, clock out, or measuring your keystrokes, like none of that shit. It's like, just do your calls, get your stuff done, dress decent. That's more so, the culture, like what it's about. And then just, like the work from home, like, freedom type stuff. As in, if you work more of a corporate type job, and granted, like I've not worked in this space, but solely from what I've heard from other people, it's like, hey, so in a week, like personally, I am going to see Tony Robbins speak in St. Louis and go home for a bit for like 8 days or so. If I were working a high-ticket sales job, because I run my own business now, if I were to be in a high-ticket sales job, I'd give them a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks notice, but like, yo, 8 days, I'm gonna be out of town. I can maybe take calls in the morning. I'll just block off my Calendly so that calls can only be booked in for my calendar specifically for X amount of hours, and I'll just take calls then. I'm like, cool, thanks for the heads up. If I were to do this, in a more corporate job, it's like, well, you have X amount of days you're allowed to take off, and we need X amount of days notice, and they could also just simply say, no, you're not allowed to. And that's the end of that. So like freedom-wise and being able to move around-wise, like you don't have near as much flexibility in a gig, especially if it's like an in-office gig to where you're stuck to one location. Whereas I could be really anywhere in the world as long as the time zone is relatively similar, I'm good to go. So I could be in Mexico, I could be in Cuba, Puerto Rico, I could be in Cali, I could be in Miami, I could be in Chicago, I could be in Canada, I could be anywhere. And as long as time zone's relatively the same, I could be in the UK if I really wanted to. And everything's all the same. So they do not care as long as things get done. Next question, who is high ticket sales for? And I think this is really, really crucial because I see some people come into the space and not like it and leave. I see some people absolutely freaking love it. So in my opinion, high ticket sales is for the entrepreneur. You have all the flexibilities of running your own business, being an entrepreneur, but you're actually not taking on that much risk. And let me explain. So let's say I have 5 calls in a day and they're 30 minutes long. I could take all 5 of these calls and I could flop. I could not close the deal. I could make $0, right? That is very possible. The entrepreneur in me still has that risk of I may not make money, or let's say it's a $5,000 package on 10% commission. I take 5 of these calls. I could at maximum make $2,500 a day. At minimum, I can make $0 today. So within that realm, I have my risk and I still have my entrepreneurial, tendencies to be flexible, to do my thing, and still have a level of risk within the confines of the company. I'm not risking $3,000 on a new marketing campaign, dropping $5,000 on a website, managing a team, testing new offers. Like, I don't have that level of risk that an actual entrepreneur like CEO has, but I have a level of risk within the confines of the company, and I can still be entrepreneurial. Like, I can still talk with the CEO and be like, hey, we should do this, do this, do this. And they may take your feedback and it may work well. So within the confines of the business, you have your own risks, but you don't have the level of risk to where I could be negative 10K this month, 20K this month, like some business owners go through. So it's great for entrepreneurs and also people who want to start a company in the future. Like if you want to start your own marketing agency and you have $0, 0 experience, and 0 marketing knowledge, your best bet is to start closing, either be an appointment setter or be a closer for a marketing agency that's doing like $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $5 million a year, because you can take all the calls for them. So A, you're going to fully understand how their business operates. Where do they get the clients from? Like, what ads do they run? What ads work best? What type of clients are they actually talking with that they end up working with? Like, you understand all that stuff. You're making money, so you're stacking cash. You're learning how the business operates. And then lastly, you're seeing what works and what doesn't work. And you're seeing what type of clients you're serving. And then once you're on the calls with these clients, you're like, hey, they don't like when I do things this way. They don't like when we do things this way, but they like this a lot. And this type of client does really well with us. So when you go start your own thing, like let's say you sold for a marketing agency for like a year and a half. You made, let's be conservative here and say you only made $150,000 within a year and a half. You could probably save $100,000 of that. You have $100,000 saved now. You've been working with a marketing agency that does good numbers for a year and a half now. You know how the business operates. You know kind of all the ins and outs of it. You know what works, what doesn't. Now you have 100 grand, a year and a half of experience. You know what the clients want. You know how they get the clients. You know everything. Now you can run a very similar business on your own, and you know how it works, and you have the cash to take the risk to do so. So if you want to start a company in the future, I really recommend get a sales job for a good company within that space, learn the game, stack the cash, and then build your own stuff, a bit down the road. And then most importantly, how much do high-ticket closers actually make? So to make the math simple for the people that are newer here, let's say you sell for a business that makes websites and they make $1 million a year. So that is about 80 grand or so a month. And let's say you are on 15% commission. Let me do some quick iPhone calculator math here. So 80K times 15%, that puts you at 12 grand. So if you close every single deal for this website business, they make websites, and they do $80,000 a month, and you close every single deal, every single client that they work with, you just by default will make 12 grand a month on 15% commission. That would be a standard explanation of an offer. Now, there are some businesses that do 300 grand a month. So if you do the math there, you're probably doing closer to 30, 40 grand a month. So it depends on the size of the business and how much revenue they are doing. But also, if you're a really good closer, you can increase the revenue of a business like crazy. So that's why, generally speaking, you make 10 to 30 grand or so a month. And on the very, very, very low side, you make about 100 grand a year. On the higher side, anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year. It depends on the size of the company and the size of how expensive the packages are. Like, for example, I'm working with a marketing agency right now, and our closers are working on 13% commission, and they have $50,000 deals they're working with. So they can make 5-6 grand for closing one deal. So if they close 10 deals a month, they make 60 grand a month. So obviously, as bigger businesses get bigger and bigger, make more money and have bigger packages, you can make a shit ton of money. But I'd rather be more conservative so you guys have a solid idea of what you're getting into if you decide to get into the space. So if you are looking to dive into high ticket sales, I highly recommend you check out the free training below and follow me on all social medias. If you're watching YouTube, subscribe here, give me a like, and all that shit, yada yada. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all that. Follow me there. And if you seriously want to work with me, watch the free training below. After you watch the free training, you'll have the opportunity to book a call with my team. And then in there, as far as what we're actually going to get into if we decide to work together, is I can help you find some of these opportunities of these businesses that need people urgently, and then B, give you the sales training necessary to make sure you're absolutely crushing within the role. I have guys doing literally 10 to 30K a month as we currently speak that have had no experience, that have had door-to-door experience, and come from all types of different backgrounds. Regardless, you will crush it if you're my client. I'm looking forward to see you guys on the next video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.